Have you ever been in that moment when someone says something so sharp, so insulting, that you can feel your blood boiling instantly? Maybe it's a colleague who questions your competence in front of the entire team. Maybe it's a family member who knows exactly which words cut the deepest. In that split second, all eyes turn to you. Everyone is waiting to see how you'll respond. Your heart is racing. Your tongue is ready to unleash a storm of words. But here's the truth. The wise don't win by shouting. They win by staying composed. They win by keeping control when everyone else is losing theirs. And that control your ability to choose how you respond is the greatest strength you'll ever carry into a confrontation. I'm not here to teach you how to argue better or how to cut people down with clever comebacks. That's easy. Anyone can lash out. What's rare and what earns true respect is the ability to respond with clarity, calm, and dignity. The goal isn't to destroy someone in debate. The goal is to protect your peace, hold on to your self-respect, and sometimes, if you're wise enough, even turn an enemy into an ally. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." Think about that for a moment. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strength so solid that it doesn't need to prove itself through noise. It's the confidence to let your composure do the speaking. And that's exactly what this video is about. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 smart responses, grounded in Stoic wisdom, that have stood the test of more than 2,000 years. These aren't tricks or manipulation tactics. They're principles of timeless philosophy that show us how to remain unshaken, no matter how heated the moment becomes. Each of these responses is designed to do one of 2 things. Either disarm the aggression in front of you, or reveal the truth about the person who's attacking you. And the beauty is, you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to compromise your dignity. You simply have to choose your words and your silence wisely. As we go through them, I'll share stories, real-life examples, and practical ways you can use these responses in your own life, whether it's at work, at home, or in those everyday situations where people try to pull you into conflict. So let me ask you this. The next time someone challenges you, will you give them the reaction they're expecting, or will you surprise them with the calm strength of a Stoic? Stay with me. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's explore the 7 responses that will silence anyone without you ever raising your voice. Now let's dive into the first response. Imagine someone just criticized you in front of others. Your instinct is to fight back, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. But instead, you take a breath and calmly say, "I see your point. Help me understand your reasoning." This single line changes everything. Why? Because most people expect a battle, not a conversation. They've loaded their weapon with accusations, but you disarm them with curiosity. You shift the spotlight from defending yourself to asking them to explain themselves. I'll give you a real example. Years ago, I was presenting a proposal I had worked on for weeks. Halfway through, a colleague blurted out, "This is completely out of touch with reality. You don't understand the market at all." My blood boiled. I was ready to fire back with data, research, expert opinions, but instead, I looked him in the eye and said, "I see your point, David. Can you help me understand which parts seem unrealistic to you?" The room went quiet. Suddenly, he wasn't the challenger anymore, he was on the spot. And here's the twist. He couldn't give me a clear answer. He stumbled, admitted he hadn't actually read the full proposal, and eventually confessed he was just reacting on instinct. In that moment, the power shifted. I didn't need to prove myself. His own words revealed the truth. That's the brilliance of this response. It forces people to move from emotion to logic. Most attacks are vague, unrealistic, naive, wrong. But when you ask for specifics, you find out whether they truly have a point or whether they're just throwing stones. The Stoics admired Socrates for this very skill. He once said, "The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. By asking questions, you embody humility. You show you're open to learning." But at the same time, you gently expose the other person's lack of substance without raising your voice. Think about it. Instead of being the one on trial, you become the one leading the conversation. You're not defending, you're investigating. And here's the psychology. When people are forced to explain themselves in detail, their anger often dissolves. They start to realize their criticism has no foundation. But here's the key. Your tone must be genuine. If you sound sarcastic, if you say it like a trap, it will backfire. You must truly sound like someone who wants to understand. That authenticity is what makes this response powerful. So, the next time someone throws a vague insult your way, pause. Then ask with calm curiosity, I see your point. Help me understand your reasoning. You'll be amazed at how quickly the balance of power shifts without you ever raising your voice. Sometimes the fastest way to win is not by fighting back, but by surrendering strategically. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but think about it. When someone points out a real mistake, what do most people do? They make excuses, they defend, they shift blame. But when you simply say, you're absolutely right, and here's what I'm going to do about it, you pull the ground out from under them. You take away their ammunition before they even have a chance to fire. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was in a meeting with a client we'd been working with for 6 months. In front of my entire team, the client said, your team has missed the deadline again. This is becoming a serious pattern, and frankly, it's affecting our trust in your ability to deliver. Now, I could have jumped in with all the reasons. The scope changes, the technical challenges, the limited resources. And honestly, all of that was true. But instead, I looked the client in the eye and said calmly, you're absolutely right, and here's what I'm going to do about it. Starting this week, we're implementing a new tracking system for better visibility. I'll personally send you progress updates every Friday. And for this project, I'm taking full ownership to ensure we hit the revised deadline. The shift was immediate. His posture softened. The frustration drained from his voice. Instead of attacking, he started asking questions about the new system. In a matter of minutes, we moved from confrontation to collaboration. That's the power of this response. Because when people criticize, they want one of two things: either to see you squirm or to see you take the problem seriously. If you go defensive, they win. But if you accept responsibility and take action, you transform the relationship. Epictetus once said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This is how you embody wisdom. By showing maturity, humility, and leadership, you build more respect than any defense ever could. But there's an important caveat. Only use this response when the criticism is valid. If someone is being unfair or unreasonable, acknowledging fault you don't have will only weaken your position. The power here lies in your willingness to face the truth head-on when you are, in fact, at fault. Think about it. How often do we waste energy protecting our ego when simply admitting the truth and acting on it would end the conflict immediately? Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, you're right, and here's what I'll do. Because real strength isn't about always being flawless. It's about having the courage to own your mistakes and the wisdom to fix them before they grow bigger. Now, let's move to the third response, one of my personal favorites. When someone throws out a provocative, even insulting comment, your instinct might be to defend yourself, to strike back, to prove them wrong. But instead, imagine you simply smile and say, that's an interesting perspective. What made you think of it? It sounds so simple, almost too gentle. But here's why it works. It forces the other person to explain their insult. And most of the time, insults are not built on reason. They're built on emotion, prejudice, or insecurity. By asking calmly where their comment came from, you make them reveal more about themselves than about you. I'll never forget watching this play out at a dinner party. A close friend of mine, let's call her Rachel, has built a thriving freelance graphic design business. She works hard, long hours, and has built a strong reputation. But that night, someone at the table sneered. Everyone at the table cringed. The comment was clearly meant to belittle her. Now, Rachel could have rattled off her client list, the deadlines she meets, the pressure of running her own business, but instead, she smiled and said, the man froze. He stammered, stumbled, then finally admitted, well, I guess I don't really know what freelance design involves. And just like that, he exposed his own ignorance. Rachel didn't have to prove anything. Her calm curiosity did the work for her. That's the brilliance of this response. You're not mocking. You're not confrontational. You sound genuinely curious, but underneath, you're holding up a mirror. You're giving the other person enough space to realize their own comment has no weight. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When someone is petty or dismissive and you respond with calm curiosity instead of anger, the contrast is crystal clear. You maintain dignity. They reveal their pettiness. But here's the key. Your tone matters. If you sound sarcastic or smug, it turns into an attack. If you sound genuinely curious, it becomes disarming. This is why it works so well in professional settings, family gatherings, even casual conversations, because it takes the wind out of their sails without escalating the conflict. So next time someone makes a cutting remark, pause and ask, "That's an interesting perspective. What made you think of it?" You'll find that most people either back down or they dig themselves into a hole, and either way, you win without raising your voice. Not every attack comes as an insult. Sometimes it's a complaint. Sometimes it's delivered in anger, frustration, or even poor choice of words. And in those moments, your first instinct might be to get defensive, to explain, to push back. It's simply this: I really appreciate you sharing that with me. It might sound strange at first, why thank someone who's criticizing you? But here's the secret. Nothing disarms hostility like unexpected gratitude. When people come at you with anger, they're braced for a fight. They've rehearsed the argument in their head. They expect excuses, defensiveness, maybe even a counterattack. What they don't expect is gratitude. Let me give you a story. A couple of years ago, I had just adopted a rescue dog. I didn't realize he was barking all morning while I was at work. One evening, my neighbor stormed over, angry. He yelled across my yard, "Your dog is driving the neighborhood crazy. He barks nonstop from 6 in the morning until you get home." Some of us are about ready to call animal control. Now, I could have matched his energy. I could have argued. "I just adopted him. I'm working on it. You could have been nicer about it." But instead, I took a breath and said, "I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I honestly had no idea it was happening, and I'm glad you felt comfortable enough to tell me directly instead of just letting it build up." The change was instant. His shoulders dropped, his voice softened, and instead of being adversaries, we became teammates trying to solve the problem. He started sharing advice about dog training, even gave me the number of a trainer who had helped his sister. We went from confrontation to cooperation, all because of one sentence. That's the beauty of this response. Gratitude cuts through anger. It acknowledges the person's feelings without validating their hostility. Psychologically, it flips the dynamic. Suddenly, they're no longer your enemy. Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." By thanking someone for their honesty, you end the cycle of hostility and open the door to a new kind of dialogue. You show them you're strong enough to accept feedback without being shaken, even when it's delivered poorly. Now, this doesn't mean you thank every troll who tries to hurt you. Use it wisely. In those moments, your gratitude reframes the entire situation. So the next time someone approaches you with frustration, instead of matching their anger, surprise them. Look them in the eye and say, "I really appreciate you sharing that with me." You'll be amazed how quickly walls come down when people feel heard, valued, and respected even in conflict. Sometimes the strongest response is not a clever phrase, but silence itself. Imagine this. Someone hurls an insult at you in front of a crowd. The room goes quiet, everyone waiting for the explosion. But instead of lashing out, you pause. You look them in the eye. 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then calmly, you say, "Thank you for that insight." That's it. No defense, no counterattack, just silence, followed by composure. And that pause does most of the work. It forces everyone in the room to really hear what was just said. It shines a spotlight on the attacker's behavior, making it clear to everyone that the comment wasn't about you, it was about them. I remember a business presentation I gave a few years back. The stakes were high. I was pitching a marketing strategy to potential partners. Everything was going smoothly until a competitor, clearly threatened, interrupted me and said, "I don't think we should take advice from someone with such limited experience in this field. Maybe we should hear from someone who actually knows what they're talking about." The words hit hard. My pulse spiked. My mind raced with comebacks. I could have rattled off my track record, my successful campaigns, my credentials. But instead, I paused, looked straight at him, let the silence hang in the air. Then I said calmly, "Thank you for that insight." The effect was immediate. The room shifted uncomfortably. People began to realize how inappropriate his remark was. I didn't need to defend myself. His words condemned themselves. After the meeting, several people came up to me, apologizing for his behavior and praising my composure. And you know what? We landed the contract, not because I argued better, but because I let his character reveal itself while I stayed in control of mine. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This response is a perfect example of that wisdom. The pause shows strength. The calm acknowledgement shows grace. Together, they demonstrate that you are not easily rattled, that you refuse to be dragged down to the level of petty insults. Now, here's the key. Your tone must be genuine. If you sound sarcastic or smug, it ruins the effect. But when you deliver it with calm dignity, people see the difference between you and your attacker immediately. In group settings especially, this can be devastating not to you, but to the person who tried to undermine you. So remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is almost nothing at all. Pause, breathe, and then respond with quiet strength. Thank you for that insight. You'll leave the attacker exposed, and you'll walk away with your dignity intact. There are moments when conversations spiral into endless finger-pointing. Everyone is busy saying who caused the problem, but no one is talking about how to fix it. That's when this response becomes powerful. Let's focus on solutions instead of blame. Think about it. Blame keeps us stuck in the past. Solutions move us forward. And when you're the one who shifts the energy of the room from conflict to progress, you instantly rise as the voice of reason. I remember sitting in a tense project meeting years ago. Something had gone wrong. A major deadline was missed. The room was thick with accusations. It was the design team's fault. No, it was the developers who dropped the ball. Everyone's voices got louder, and the energy was turning toxic. Finally, I leaned in and said, "We can spend the rest of this meeting debating who's responsible, or we can figure out how to make sure we deliver on time from here. Let's focus on solutions instead of blame." What's our next step? The shift was dramatic. People stopped arguing. The energy calmed. Instead of looking backward, the team began brainstorming practical ways forward. What could have been a wasted, destructive hour became the starting point for a plan that actually saved the project. Why does this work? Because most people don't actually want to be stuck in negativity. They just don't know how to get out of it. When you redirect the focus toward constructive action, you give them a way out without embarrassing anyone. You become the anchor of clarity in a storm of emotions. This approach aligns perfectly with Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control what's already gone wrong. You can't erase mistakes, but you can control what happens next, your attitude, your focus, your leadership. So the next time you're in a heated discussion where blame is flying back and forth, then step in with calm authority. Let's focus on solutions instead of blame. You'll be amazed at how quickly the air clears and how naturally people begin looking to you as the leader in the room. There are times when no amount of logic, no amount of calm curiosity will change someone's mind. They've already decided what they think about you. They doubt your abilities. They question your value. And in those moments, the best response is to step back and let time and results do the talking. That's where this line comes in. I understand, but let's allow results to speak for themselves. Picture this. You're working on a big project, and someone in the room says, "Honestly, I don't think you're capable of pulling this off. It's too ambitious." The natural urge is to argue, to defend yourself with a list of your past achievements. But arguing only drags you into a debate you can't truly win, because words don't prove capability. Results do. So instead, you take a breath, steady your tone, and say, "I understand your concern, but let's let the results speak for themselves." I once had this exact situation with a supervisor early in my career. He doubted whether I could handle a high-profile client account. Instead of pushing back, I quietly accepted the challenge. I didn't try to convince him with promises or big speeches. I let the work speak. 3 months later, not only was the account thriving, but the client themselves asked that I remain their point of contact permanently. My supervisor never questioned my abilities again, not because I argued him into agreement, but because the results left no room for debate. This response is powerful for two reasons. First, it prevents you from wasting energy on endless back-and-forth arguments. Second, it demonstrates supreme confidence. Confidence so strong that you don't need to fight for recognition. You know the truth will reveal itself. Seneca once wrote, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing." The same goes for your reputation. It's not built by shouting down doubters, it's built by consistent action, step by step, until your results can't be denied. Now let me be clear. This isn't about arrogance. You're not dismissing the other person. You're acknowledging their concern but calmly refusing to be dragged into a pointless debate. It's an invitation to wait and see and an unspoken promise that you're confident enough in your work to let it prove the point. So the next time someone doubts you, remember, you don't always need to fight back. Sometimes the wisest response is to simply smile and say, "I understand, but let's allow results to speak for themselves." Because in the end, results speak louder than arguments ever could. So, let's step back for a moment and look at the big picture. We've walked through 7 smart responses, 7 tools the Stoics have handed down to us across centuries. And what do they all have in common? Each one allows you to stay in control of yourself, even when others lose control of themselves. Think about it. I see your point. Help me understand your reasoning. You're absolutely right. And here's what I'm going to do. You transform criticism into cooperation. That's an interesting perspective. What made you think of it? You make people reveal their own motives. I really appreciate you sharing that with me. You turn hostility into unexpected gratitude. Silent pause. Thank you for that insight. You let their words condemn themselves. Let's focus on solutions instead of blame. You rise above pettiness and guide people forward. I understand, but let's allow results to speak for themselves. 7 responses. 7 ways to guard your dignity, protect your peace, and show that true strength doesn't need to shout. It simply stands firm. The ancient Stoics taught us that we cannot control what others say or do, but we can always control how we respond. That's where our power lies. Not in winning arguments, but in mastering ourselves. Because at the end of the day, your response is your reputation. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you choose composure over chaos, Wisdom over impulse. Dignity over ego. You win. Every time. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, you don't need the loudest voice or the sharpest comeback. You need calm strength, steady wisdom, and the courage to rise above. Because when you control yourself, you control the situation. If this video gave you clarity or confidence, hit that like button and share it with someone who might need these tools today. And don't forget to subscribe so together we can keep building the kind of inner strength that not only silences others, but also brings peace to ourselves. Because in the end, your reactions write your story. And when you respond with wisdom, that story is one worth telling.